Lund Boats proudly presents the ultimate fishing experience. This week on Lund's The Ultimate Fishing Experience. From Lake Superior to Lake Ontario, the Great Lakes contain incredible angling opportunities, with regional hotspots where certain species thrive because of the available food and habitat suits their needs to a T. Famed fisheries like Lake Erie's walleye and Lake Ontario's king salmon, Lake Michigan's steelhead, or Superior's lake trout. In the heart of the Great Lakes lies Lake St. Clair. Nestled between Lake Huron and Erie, St. Clair's shallow basin, massive weed beds, and prolific forage is the perfect habitat for muskies to thrive in incredible numbers, where multiple fish days are common and double digits are not unheard of.
Here on Lake St. Clair, it's all about covering water. This fish is going back great. Let's get her in the water.
Beautiful fish.
Gone. Hey, I'm Captain Joel Piatek. This is my good friend Billy Rose. We're here in Michigan today, and we're going out on Lake St. Clair trolling for muskies, a world-class fishery. The weather is perfect conditions. We got overcast, it's humid, looks like the rain's gonna hold off, so it should be an outstanding day to hook up with a big fish. So as I said, we're gonna be fishing Lake St. Clair here in Michigan, which is a world-class fishery for walleyes, smallmouth bass, largemouth bass, and even sturgeon. Over the last 20 years, it's become a world-class muskie fishery just because of the conservation efforts in catch and release. I mean, now we're experiencing some of the largest fish that we've ever caught on the lake system. It's been a great success story. We're gonna be board trolling so we can run multiple lines, cover a lot of area, and focus in on where those fish are gonna be based upon watercolor and availability of bait, and in hopes of hooking up with one of these bombers that could be 55 inches. Today, being that we're almost into August, I wanna find some of the coolest water that we can get into. It's gonna be the deepest part of Lake St. Clair, right in the middle where we're gonna be fishing. It's not so much that we have much structure at all in this lake, but there are gonna be some weed beds, so it'll be about 21, 22, 23 feet. The water's up higher this year, as you were talking about.
Yep, a little bit contour.
What we're doing here is we're running 4 board rods, and I have them depths varied. I'm running 2-ounce weights off of those, so I can get down to about 10, 12 feet. It seems like that's where we've been marking our fish. We got good watercolor. There's not a lot of floating weeds, so I shouldn't have to be cleaning baits the whole day. And then we have a down rod, which is fishing right off in the prop wash, about 9 foot back off the prop. And then a long rod, which I'm fishing 25 feet back with a 3-ounce weight. We got 1 bucktail out that we're running, and I got some really, really good ziggy wood baits that are from this particular area. The guy's 80 years old and still turning wood baits in his garage, and I'll tell you what, you can't get much better than that. So I have quite a variety out, all natural patterns here on Lake St. Clair. We want to fish perch patterns, walleye patterns, bass patterns, a lot of natural shad patterns. Perfect conditions with the humidity as well. So it shouldn't be too long before we get hooked up here.
Yep. Hey, right here, Joel, fish on, fish on.
Slow us down a little bit, Bill.
Slowing down.
There you go. That hit on one of our wood baits. That's actually that walleye.
Inside.
Keep us going straight, Will. Seems like a decent fish. Yeah, nice. What we're gonna do is we'll net her off the starboard side here, Bill.
Yep.
There you go. Nice fish, nice fish. Go ahead and get right up there, Bill. Just barely nipped it too. Watch out, buddy. There we go, fish in the net. Nice job, nice job. Nice healthy fish. What do you think, Billy?
Beautiful fish.
Beautiful.
Nice color.
Spotted muskie. Let's go ahead and get this fish back. Looks good. So we're gonna run through our rods, get them fishing again, and get hooked up again.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Mercury Marine. Go boldly.
So we caught that fish on my standard board setup. So I'm using a 60-pound leader, fluorocarbon leader, Suffix, and I also have Suffix high-vis green 50-pound monofilament line. And we like that stretch on that line when we're trolling. especially when you're running those big baits and when you get hooked up on a big fish at these high speeds. And what I do is I'm using an Albright knot. That seems to be one of my best knots that I've used for any type of line-to-line application. I'm using a 7-foot RP2 Shakespeare rod, which is set up and geared specifically for these trolling applications. It's got a nice soft tip so I can see the action, but it also has a really stiff backbone. In order to get that bait down to the depth that I want to be fishing as I'm marking my fish here halfway through this water column, I'm using an offshore snap weight. Depending on the type of depth that I want to get to, I'll use a lighter or heavier type of weight, all on this snap weight. And I'll go ahead and I'll place that right before my Albright knot. On that snap is actually a little nipple on there, and I want to make sure that I get my line past that because sometimes they'll snag weeds. Okay, and on that particular setup, when we caught that fish, I'm running 25 feet off of my snap weight. I'm using an offshore downrigger release. Because of that rubber pad, I really like that setup there so that it doesn't damage the line at all. And I got a simple little shower curtain hook, stainless shower curtain hook that allows that to slide right down the line. Flip the switch, turn the drag clicker on, and we're fishing again. There you go, fish on.
Here we go.
Right behind the boat. Right behind the boat. That's one of my favorite ones. Northern. Look at that. Northern, Billy. Nice northern. You just never know what you're gonna get out here. All right, let's go ahead and we'll get that off. Whoa, whoa,
Got it,
whoa.
I'm good.
Look at that, nice catch. Nice catch, Billy. Nice healthy fishery right here when you can catch a variety of fish like this. It's a predator-rich lake. This particular setup is our down rod, which is only fishing 9 feet back behind the boat. We're using a 16-ounce weight with a dropper on there, double snap swivels, 6-foot leader, fluorocarbon, and that pike took a natural perch pattern here. That's the Ziggy $9 perch, and I'm using a 5.5-foot RP2 rod, which is built very stout rod because that 16-ounce weight to get it down at that high speed right behind the boat. And once I put that bait in the water here, make sure it's swimming good. Nice hunt mode on that. I'm gonna drop it down 9 feet, put it in my salty rod holder, and bam, that's the setup. Check the drag again. We're good to go right there. One of my favorite setups, that's the down rod. Generally, that down rod goes a lot better in rougher conditions. But today, as you can see, it's flat calm, and that just went, so that was a good hookup. So one of the key components to putting fish into the boat while you're musky trolling out here in the big water is speed control. And out here, I like to stay at about 3.4 to 3.6 knots. That puts you about 4 miles an hour. One of the systems that I'm using to do that with our Mercury kicker motor, Pro Kicker, is the iTroll system, which digitally controls our throttle so that we're keeping at the consistent speed that I want to keep at to keep our lures running as true as possible.
So with the iTroll, actually utilizes a servo that holds our throttle setting in a precise spot on the carburetor instead of it moving back and forth and us jumping around on our speed there. Another thing I'd really talk about is the system we have with this being a remote kicker, we're actually able to utilize the power steering that the big motor has to incorporate a no feedback type steering and feel that these higher kicker engines we're starting to run will have on there. So it's very precise, very smooth, just lets us control the boat without any jerking around or a lot of movement.
All right, we're hooked up on that Ziggy walleye again. Nice fish. Get that snap weight off, I'll back it up there. Billy, you good with the net?
Starboard side?
Yes, starboard side. Nice fish, nice fish. Oh, we just released it. Oh, just come off. Come on button, it only had the last hook in there. That's the second time. It was screaming drag too. Yeah, it was right in here, so we ended up pulling the tooth out on the fish. That's one thing you don't want to get caught in you. All right, let's get this back out. Billy, you got an idea of where we caught that fish?
Yep.
It's a well-known fact that docks are a magnet for bass and panfish, thanks to abundant shade and structure. The challenge becomes getting your lure deep underneath where the fish live. Dock skipping is a tactic developed by southern crappie anglers and is an easy way to slingshot your lure deep underneath with little practice. Start off by finding productive docks using mapping. The best ones usually have deep water nearby. Let the contours be your guide. Position yourself using the bow mount trolling motor, then talon down when you have a good lineup. Lower your body so you're in line with the target. Grab the hook by the bend to avoid hooking yourself, then load the rod and point to your target. The trick is to release the lure and your line finger at the same time. Consider flat-sided lures like the Jean Leroux Bass Shooter, which is designed for skipping docks like a stone.
Okay, we're all set up again, got that rod back out. Billy, did you mark that spot on our GPS?
Yep, we got a couple hundred yards behind us.
Awesome, because that's pretty critical. You know, even though we are in an open span of water here with very few weed beds, what I'll find is consistently year after year where those weed beds come up, where the water currents are, where that off-colored water generally happens is in the same location. So more typical than not, I'll catch a good fish, and when I'm talking a good fish, a fish over 50 inches, I'll mark that spot. And it's very, very common for me to go over those spots year after year to still hook up with multiple fish and even big fish out of that area. That's very, very key for us to use our electronics to allow us to concentrate on the most productive areas in a 430 square mile lake system.
Exact same spot as our last fish.
Yep, everything's all wood right now, so we're good. This was the only bucktail that we had out. It's a spanky Hulk Hogan color, and we're fishing that at 4 and 40 feet down. Good fish. It's a ways out. I'm 192. Billy, well, let's reel in that long rod. Let's get that up. Let's reel up our down rod. Give it some decent drag. Clear our side out. Staying down. Very typical of a good sized fish here to do everything that it's doing right now. Scream some line off on the bucktail. It looked like we had a good hook up. We had a nice tail back there. Don't touch the line, let me grab it. I'll get it right to you. Nice fish, really nice fish. Hooked right in the side of the mouth, okay? Got it, nice fish, nice fish. Watch that bucktail, okay, bud? Grab that. Oh, nice.
What side do you want him on?
We're gonna have to take it probably on this side if we need to, okay? That's a good fish. Hooked right up on the side. Oh, baby, stay on, stay on, stay on. Stay on. Stay on. I'm gonna lift it right up here, Billy.
So you can pull him away a little bit.
Here it is, here it is, here it is, here it is.
Pull him out.
Yeah! Yeah! That's what I'm talking about, yeah! Woo! Nice fish, bud, nice fish. All right, let's get this fish in the boat.
Coming back.
That's what I'm talking about right there, boys. That's what I'm talking about. That is a great Lake St. Clair muskie right there.
Bait clear.
Yeah.
Beautiful fish. Nice color.
Great muskie right here on Lake St. Clair. That is a phenomenal fish. That's exactly what we're coming after here. Billy, let's get it in the tank. Give this fish a rest. Lake St. Clair muskies, big water trolling right here. And this is what's awesome about having this 219 right here, because the live well is so huge. Catch a fish like that, you can put it in the tank to rest it out so she can go ahead and we can get a nice rest on her and get a nice successful release on this fish. We're gonna make sure she goes back real nice and easy. As soon as she's ready to go, we'll send her. There you go, baby.
Nice release.
That right there is what conservation is all about, catch and release, and that right there was a bomber.
So one of the things that we noted using electronics on that fish we just pulled is actually darn near right on top of one of the other fish we had a release on that looked to be a pretty good fish. So we're actually using 2 graphs here, one for our down imaging and also 2D sonar, and we're using another one as our chart plotter. So if we do come across something, whether it's something we'd like to go over and revisit, maybe structure, weed bed, or see bait, we can waypoint real quick on our chart plotter, or if we have a fish hit, we can waypoint on our chart plotter. And also, as just a fail-safe or a backup, our graphs are actually linked together, both through Ethernet and through the NEMA 2000 network. So we're sharing information between these 2 graphs and our bow graph, things sonar, temperature, our structure scan can be viewed on any one of these. We're sharing our waypoint information, our mapping information, so some real critical things, having these all networked together and being able to utilize 3 of them. But we're actually creeping up here, going over our little honey hole for the 3rd time, and hopefully we can get another release.
Today we're fishing out of my Lund 219 Pro VGL, a perfect boat for the type of water that I fish here on the Great Lakes and Lake St. Clair. Gives me a lot of room, whether I'm casting or trolling like we're here today. So another great feature on this boat that increases its fishability, the Sport Track bracket that's put on the side here, where I can go ahead and I can place different rod configuration setups. You know, in this particular case, I'm running a Cisco system. You can see I got 3 upright tubes. I got a Salty down Easter to run my down rod for my muskies, and then also a nice cradle holder right here for my long rod. Now this configuration could also be adapted for other types of fishing, such as salmon fishing, where you could have a downrigger mounted off that. And what came in very handy for us today, you could see as we started to revive these muskies, this giant live well with the Prolonged Plus live well system for aeration, pumping that full of fresh water the whole time. We were able to revive these fish very, very quickly.
So with this being a nice trolling boat here, Joel did opt out for the max horsepower on this boat, the 350 Verado. Another thing unique to this setup is it did go with the 15 horse kicker. Most places, or most times, you'll see a 9.9 kicker on a setup like this, but because this boat is so big and so wide and it's so stable, you're able to add that extra weight of the 15 horse on here and not have an adverse effect, keeping the low trolling hours off our large engine.
And to top it all off, it's a sweet ride.
I love keeping fishing simple and productive, and I do so through the use of the right tools for the job. Springtime crappie fishing is a great example. Shallow mud-bottom bays are the first to warm, and crappies quickly fill these areas. Pay close attention to your fish finder's temperature readout. 62 to 65 degrees puts you in the zone. Target hard-stem bulrush areas with a tungsten jig paired with an insect-profiled plastic rigged under a float. Live bait is rarely needed. A quiet and powerful trolling motor moves you stealthily along in your search. When I find fish, I deploy my talons to quietly pin the boat in place. This allows me to stay off the trolling motor and target cast to key areas. Trolling motors equipped with Minn Kota's GPS-enabled spot lock are another good option to pin the boat in place so you can focus on fishing.
Crappies in the shallows, tough to beat.
Here on Lake St. Clair, our muskie season opens up in the first Saturday of June, both the American side and the Canadian side. Early on in the season, you're gonna find the warmest water up in the shallows, and I'm concentrating on 12 to 15 feet of water, sometimes 16 feet of water, where that warmer water is. As summer goes on, fish start to move to the deeper parts of the lake system, where you generally start finding them in 16 to 18 to 19, 20, 22 feet of water. Probably one of my best times for fishing muskies here on Lake St. Clair is the fall time, as they start to put on the feed bags and really start to feed on a lot of the availability of shad. And we'll start to focus again back into those shallow areas in that 16, 15, 14 feet of water. And I'm talking about October, November. Our season will run now to the end of December. And that is an absolute great time to capitalize on some of these heavy 40-inch fish. 50-inch fish are very common with big, heavy weights. Another setup that we have, because we want to stay versatile, is the long rod. This is a 10-foot, again, RP2 tournament series rod. In this particular case, I'm running a 9-foot leader with a 3-ounce drop weight. Just like we did on that down rod, I have double shampoo swivels, ball bearing swivels on there with a 3-ounce weight. And again, 60-pound fluorocarbon. I'll drop that bait right out. But I really like to fish this about 25 to 30 feet back off the side of the boat. Put it in my Cisco rod holder and I'll lock it down because I don't want that rod to go. And we're all set. That's the setup on the long rod when we're fishing boat rods covering big water on Lake St. Clair.
Fish.
Don't touch that line.
Yeah, did you see that one pop off there? She flung. You want me to let that run, Joel?
Yeah. Nice job, Billy. Way to work that. We'll keep it nice and center. Still got it on there. Good weight to that fish, too. That drag set, pretty tight.
There's weight there.
Just put that bait down, too. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
That was that lavender spanky. I figured high sun, got this green-colored water here. We've been running some yellow-type baits, green-type baits, and as soon as we threw that down, small snack, I downsized it, too. Taking this high pressure, smaller bait, still staying down. This could be a good fish, dude.
There's a lot of weight here.
Good. Nice. Nice. Typical of a big fish.
I'm gonna walk back to get the clip, and then I'm gonna come reel towards you.
Reel towards me. Yep. Nice fish, Billy. Nice fish. Really nice fish. Nice fish, bud. All right. Woo!
Good looking fish.
Really nice looking fish. Oh, what a great fish, Billy, and another excellent day on the water with you. What a great fish. Let's get into the live wells. We tank this fish, get it going, let her be revived. Awesome fish. All right, we gave her a little bit. She's gonna go back great. Here on Lake St. Clair, it's all about covering water, getting the right baits down with the right depth. The right water color is what you're looking for. This fish is going back great. Let's get her in the water. Great job, Billy.
Beautiful fish.
Gone. The key to this ticket, cover water, run the right baits based upon your light conditions, your water color. Pay attention to your electronics when you're marking fish, get down to the right depth, and I'm gonna tell you what it'll produce for you.
Thanks for joining us. If you'd like more information, check out lundboats.com or these other online outlets.